If you ever played Vampire Survivors or the clones that hit the market, well, this one is for some people one of the best Survivors games so far. My name is Borka, and before you buy the game, let me show you a quick overview of it. For me, this is probably my favorite Survivor game, and the reason why it's because of the graphics and effects, but hey, that's my opinion. Before I start, I want to say that the game is still in early access, which means that there are a lot of new things that can be added and can be changed in the future. For example, on this video I can show you a certain skill that later it might be with a different name or have a different effect. On the Steam store there is a roadmap that shows how it was on the prologue, early state that we are currently, and for the full release. I will talk more about the roadmap in another video, but at this state I could say that half of the game is not out yet. Anyway, let's start with the game. The main menu of the game at this stage should look like this. At the top of the screen you got few bars: fight, character, blacksmith, runes, skill tree and achievements. Below them are the crystals that you collect upon playing the game. If you hover mouse over them, there should be more info of how to obtain them. Blue tiny crystal are dropping from small enemies or elites. Red crystal is after you slay the first boss. Blue crystal is after you slay the second boss, and so on until the fifth one. On the left side is the Soulstone raw game store and direct link to the Discord server. I will recommend you to go there, since there are a lot of things to check like builds, change notes and many more. On the right side is the character that you have selected and his runes. If you go into the fight section, every single map will pop. Currently we have 5 at this moment. If you pick a map you can see your entire progress, the best time that you finish it and with how many curses did you play. Now about those curses, there is enable and disable tick at the bottom right if you want to go without them. Usually everything should be locked and you can unlock them by progressing. First you must complete the map on normal difficulty without any curses, so you can unlock the first tier. Once you done that, you can move into the first tier and start checking every single tick, and by hovering around each curse you can see with more details explanation what they are doing. They usually stack and you can move your mouse over the icon where it says curse intensity to see what did you add overall. As you progress more with those curses, the reward bonus will increase a lot. You can see them on the right side of the curse tab. At the character selection, you can choose a character. In order to pick him, you need to click the select button below. Notice that I have all of them so far, but once you start the game they will be all locked. To unlock them you need to do certain achievement and have certain crystal that drops from the bosses that I mentioned before. You can see his layout with his current progress of it above his head. So overall on the left side is the characters tab where you can pick the one that you wanna play. On the right side you can see their attributes. Some can have more health, critical movement, and some can have minus effect like minus health, minus movement, and the same like so on. Below the attributes are the unique skills that the current class will most likely use and the available skill types. Of course they are having weapons that you have to unlock them again from doing achievements, but most of the time you will need level 10 of the current character to unlock it from blacksmith. At the bottom right corner below the attributes and unique skills is the skill that the current weapon is giving. At the blacksmith tab are the weapons for each character. As I mentioned before, you need level 10 to get the recipe and materials that I can really show since I already unlocked them all, but they are different from the crystals. Those materials can be obtained from certain map, and you can see each map what materials are available on the map selection. On the right side is shown what attributes you will get and what spell upon equipping the weapon. Now, on the runes tab, everything will be locked at the beginning when you start the game, and to unlock them you must do certain achievement. For example, get your barbarian to level 10 or level 20 or 50 to unlock his runes, or you must complete certain map or certain tier of curses. At the beginning he will have only 4 available and the maximum for now is 10. Some of the runes takes more than one slot to equip. For example, the executioner costs 2 slots. Some can be 1 and some can even reach 5. The idea is to build your ideal perfect setup of runes that suits the character you're playing. In other words, I like to play Elementalist. Since you don't have a big area of cast, but have a long chain of cast, I like to use those 2 runes for multicast with long chains and 40% more damage increase but lower the area of cast. Also, I like to put almost every time sure-footed rune that reduce the pushback and you have more resistance to stun effects. The skill tree is the second most important tab for building your character. Here you don't have to pick between one or another thing. All you have to do is to unlock all of them with crystals. It can be with blue one that drop from normal enemies to purple that drops from the last boss. When you click on a certain skill, you can see what it gives. It can be movement speed, critical damage, more health, but one of my favorite is the blue crucifix. It gives you 2 resurrections to half health upon dying. All those tabs are connected to the achievement tab. Here you can see your current progress. There is a character, weapon, active skills, maps and rune selection. Overall, every single achievement rewards you with something. It can be specific rune, rune slot, character, certain skill, map and weapon. Once you select the character you want to play with, his runes, skill tree, and his weapons, you can click on fight, choose a map, his curse level and start the fight. For this video I will go for the first map without any curses. For the game control it's very simple. You can move your character with W, ASD, there is a dash with spacebar. Depending on the talents and skills you can have even more than one dash. And escape is to pause the game. Of course you can change them on the key bindings menu. I already did that for space since we will use it a lot. At the middle below your character you can see how many dash charges you have and what's their cooldown. At the top right is the time that you are currently playing and the objective is to eliminate 5 Lords of the Void. Depending on the mod it can be different. You can get to eliminate 10 Lords with 2 of them spawning instead of 1 or 15 with 3 spawning each time. At the bottom is the experience bar with the current level. On the middle, a little bit above is your current skill setup where you don't have to click anything since they are automatically used on cooldown. From the left side you can see the current skill you're using and from the right side you can see the current runes that you equip as well as some extra info how many revives you have. Notice that I have them but you won't at the beginning until it's not unlocked. When you press escape you can see every single attribute that your character is having. In future those stats will increase as you obtain more skills that can give you a little bit of everything, for example 5% more critical chance, more health, movement speed and so on. Mobs and elites usually spawn from each side of the map and you spawn in the middle of it. There are also a lot of aim abilities where you have to move your mouse on the target so you can be hit. When you kill mob it will drop a yellow crystal that gives you experience to level. The higher level you are, the more experience you will need, aka you will need more crystals and the leveling will become slower. Once you level up, the game will pause with the time and you will have 3 bars of skills to choose. Like I already mentioned, it can be anything like movement speed, multicast or bleed effects. On the right side will be shown how many rerolls you have and how many banish. Since most of the spells can repeat itself and some are not used to you, you can banish them not to arrive ever again. And if you're rushing to build a sap and you don't need those abilities, you can go for a reroll. Usually those things will be 0 as you will unlock them later in the game from the skill tree. Always the first setup of skills is of 3 attributes, and the second level is with spells that you can use. Once you obtain new spell, it will pop up below the bar with the other spells where you can track his cooldown. When you have a certain skill, there is a high chance to pop a special attribute for that certain spell. It can be multicast, more damage, critical, and so on. Later in the game, as you progress, there will be more dangerous mobs spawning. The first mob encounter will be the shamans, or at least that's how I call them. I don't really know their actual name, but you will notice that there will be a red circle indicating that something will explode there, or certain skill from the enemy will be cast at that place, so the best is to stay away or dash through to avoid it. Once you reach your first objective to kill 400 monsters, the first Lord of the Void will spawn. At the top middle, his health bar will pop, and below that bar usually you can see his defects that you apply upon hitting him. If he is not around you, you can see him mark on the edge of the screen at the direction where he is. Those voids are so far few, and they have different abilities. Some are like fire mages, leaving fire path behind, others are like barbarians, charging and chasing you a lot, and some are with huge AoE that likes to explode a lot. In any case, all of them have huge or red ability mark that indicates that they will cast their spell on that direction. So the best is to keep your dash only for their ability, since they do a lot of damage. Once defeated, just like the small crystals that drop from the small mobs for experience, the same way the big crystal will drop from the boss. Depending on what number it is, I already mentioned, it can be red, blue, green and so on. Those crystals can be used for many things, from purchase of characters, tier, weapons and skill trees. Just like the boss indicator, you can see sometimes minerals of health that will spawn in a random place of the map. All you have to do is find and break them. It will give you extra health regen. Keep in mind that on harder difficulty you might have a debuff for less health regens. Once you have full action bar with the spells, the skills to pick upon leveling will still pop up. If you wanna swap a spell with the same that you don't want but you had no choice to pick, then you can replace it by selecting which one you wanna replace with. But if you don't want that, click cancel. It will return you back to the spell, and below them you will have a message: replace choices with the passive power-ups. If you go for that, it will give you option not between spells but between power-ups of the spells that you have or more attributes. It is important to mention that you can see the level of the skills at the action bar, and if you move over that skill you can see with what upgrades you already apply on them upon leveling. At the end, when you kill the last boss, everything will stop spawning. The timer will stop and you will be done with the map. 3 portals will spawn: red for Overlord's mode, purple for Endless mode, and blue for ending your adventure. For the red and purple portal I will talk in another video. Once you enter the blue portal, you will earn victory and details tab will pop up, showing how many damage your skills did, how many curses you apply, as well as what's your best progress with them on the current map, your time scores, how many enemies you have eliminated and how many Soulstone as well as materials you have collected. And that's just tiny bit of information on the game, but overall it is everything for anyone who wants to join us and start the long journey, cause hey, the grind here is very long. Anyway, that's all for me. I hope you find that video useful. If it is, don't forget to like, subscribe and comment. If you have any questions, I will gladly answer. Take care guys.